So far, we've been running containers from images that already contain the files needed to run an application. Most of the time, we'll want to give a container our own data, and we can do that by adding a data volume. All it is a designated directory on your machine that a container can read and write to. Let's go ahead and try running our own file inside a container. So make sure you have the code repository for this course on your computer, and navigate to the data volumes folder. And then take a look at the provided script called randomnumber.js. If I open this in my text editor, we'll see that line 2 produces a random number between 1 and 20, and then line 5 outputs that random number to the console. Now, to run this inside of a container, we can run this using the node image in order to run a JavaScript file. Now to do that, we want to use the docker run command, as we've done before, and then we're going to use the v option to provide a volume to mount to the container. So in this case, I'm going to specify on the left side here the volume that we want to mount. In this case, it's going to be our current working directory. pwd just prints the working directory we're inside. And then colon, you want to specify after the colon which directory inside the container you want to mount this to. So in this case, I'm going to provide this directory user source. Once you've mounted the volume, you can then provide the image. So we're going to do a Node.js image, and then we're going to go with version 8 by specifying an image tag. And then after that, we're going to specify the command we want to run. In this case, it's going to be node, and then I have to specify the path of the file I want to run, user source randomnumber.js. When I click enter, we'll see that it produces a random number, prints it to the screen, and note that it immediately exits. So a container will only run for as long as the process you specified runs. So in our Nginx example, the container never quit until we tell the container to stop. And that's because Nginx is a continuously running process. However, this script immediately prints out a number and then exits. So that's why our container is no longer running. So there we'll see that we've mounted this file and then we ran it inside a container. Now we can also do that in another way, and that's by specifying another flag called the working directory flag. And this just specifies the directory that we're going to run our command inside. So to specify that same command using the working directory flag, we're going to specify the volume. So we're going to mount that file again. And then in order to avoid specifying the full path for my file, I'm going to provide the W option. And then I'm going to say the working directory is going to be user source. So now that I've done this, when I specify where my file lives, I can just say node randomnumber.js instead of user source randomnumber.js. And we'll see that performs the same exact behavior as prior. Now, even if we don't specify a working directory, we can still run commands inside of container. Just make sure that you are aware that you have to specify the full path just to make sure that you're referencing the right file. A few things to note when running or when mounting data volumes is that the data is mounted every time the command is run. So for example, if I were to add another console log inside this file, then go back over here and run the container again, we'll see that it takes that file and then puts it inside the container again, and then we'll see that my file's new contents will be reflected when that container runs. Another thing to note, let me go ahead and remove this, is that any data written in the container can be accessed in the directory that we mounted. So for example, if I go back to my randomnumber.js file and uncomment these two lines and save the file, this is going to take that random number and use the node file system module to write that random number to a file. And we'll see once I run this command again and type ls, we'll see that that container wrote the file to my mounted directory. And I can verify that by taking a look at the contents, and we'll see it mounted the random number that I generated.